Hey guys, Omni here. We are back to check out the breakdown for Miss Marvel Episode 2. If you haven't seen my reaction, go check it out. It's on the channel now. I actually got some help with the editing, so I was able to get Obi-Wan and that both out today. Next week, though, do not think that's going to be the case. So with the finale for Obi-Wan, that will be out, but Miss Marvel will likely be later in the afternoon, worst case scenario, Thursday morning, but I just wanted to let you guys know. After next week, though, once Obi-Wan's wrapped up, we'll be smooth sailing. That'll be our Wednesday morning show that we post out, because there will be nothing in the way. So how dare Disney release both these shows together? Sadly, I do have to say that another little point of contention that I have with that, and it's not just as a creator, because I know like everybody that doesn't involve themselves with social media and stuff that are going to watch both of these regardless, they wake up, they tune in, they binge them both, they watch them both the next day. It doesn't matter. It doesn't bother them. But just looking at the overall conversation online, it is... Miss Marvel, unfortunately, this week is getting drowned out, it seems like, by Obi-Wan. Last week, it was kind of the opposite. But, yeah, that's why this happens, man. Word of mouth can be hindered quite a lot whenever you're overlapping, like, these major shows like this. I really think they should put Marvel and Star Wars on separate days, but... you never know. Whatever. But I really like this week's Miss Marvel, man. Sorry to hop on that soapbox. It was something that kind of crossed my mind here while getting into the groove of things. And I think we're really kind of starting to unfold a little bit of the mystery of the season. The origin of this bangle, the mystery behind her great grandmother and what actually happened during partition and all that stuff. Why she brought shame onto her family and why her mother doesn't want to talk about it at all. I don't know, man. I'm really curious to see how this story unfolds, on top of Cameron's mom and both her and him seemingly being here for Kamala, like they knew this was going to happen. I don't know. A little odd, suspicious as fuck, but we'll see where it goes, guys. We're going to hop into New Rockstars breakdown of episode 2. Here we go.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Boss, and this is a breakdown of Miss Marvel Episode 2, which teaches us all a little something about pretending your crush is your cousin when we're in the wish fulfillment genre. It may just come true. I mean, hey, we don't know that for sure yet, which is exactly what we say at family reunions down in the South. Let us break down this episode shot by shot with all the MCU Easter eggs and details you missed.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
For sponsoring this video, more on their tasty offerings later. And the best way to support New Rockstars is to get our Ms. Marvel inspired Cosmic Daydream shirt at newrockstarsmerch.com. When you get this limited edition latest obsession, you'll get the added option to write in a custom shout out for our Ms. Marvel after shows. Notice how the S in the previously on screen matches the S of the Ms. Marvel title in the comics and in the series. They intentionally stylized that S to draw the I to it, make it clear that she isn't Miss Marvel, like little Miss Superhero, but rather Ms., an independent woman in control of her own life. The episode opens on Kamala strutting back into her school to Mace's Feel So Good, the chorus to which is bad, 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 bad boy, you make me feel so good.
I loved this whole sequence. I wasn't too sure.
Whom Kamala will fall for.
I wasn't too sure when that played out, and I know it's not in the reaction because, my lord, it's very common with these like more teen-centric shows and stuff like that to have like obviously a licensed music as part of the score throughout. It makes it extremely difficult. I don't know how some channels get around with it. Every time I leave anything in, it gets claimed. So I removed that whole segment in it. But when it came about, I was like, is this a daydream? Is this actually happening? Because like with her, how things have been, it could have definitely went either way. But I mean, it was going on. That was her. Now, there could be some augmentations to our perception based on that, but it seemed like that was exactly how she was flowing through the day at the moment.
This episode,
I loved it.
Bad boy with ulterior motives. She wears a Save Ferris button, Save Ferris being a ska punk band who of course got its name from the gag in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where Ferris faked being deathly ill to get out of school, launching the Save Ferris campaign, while he rigged up a stereo in his bedroom to fool his parents, similar to how Kamala tried to use Zuzu to trick her parents.
Man, it's been
room. She fools around with a basketball, echoing Andrew Garfield, Peter
25 years since I've seen Ferris Bueller.
But then she bumps into Kamran, knocking over her chemistry textbook.
I don't remember much about it,
MJ
to be honest.
beside their chemistry textbook. It's a little on the nose. Kamran wears the color blue, and with Kamala's purple color tones, there definitely is some conscious wardrobing here. As in the Miss Marvel comics, Kamran gets hit with the same Terrigen mist that Kamala does, transforming him into an Inhuman with blue colored bioluminescence, where he can release energy blasts or transfer his energy into an object, causing to glow and to explode. This episode's ending reveals Kamran was targeting Kamala from the very beginning, in league with his mother Najma, and I would not be surprised if he actually bumped into her on purpose here, either to plant a tracker on her, maybe lift something off her, or maybe just test her power reflexes. Kamala tells Bruno,
I tried to shrink and fly and talk to ants and none of it worked.
Wait, what makes you think you have Ant-Man powers?
Because we're both charming and we look a lot younger than we are.
A nod to actor Paul Rudd's freakish agelessness, and the fact that in the MCU, Scott Lang bypassed the blip while he was in the quantum realm, making him older on paper than he is biologically, and at one point in Endgame, he did have the body of a baby, and the fact that all of these MCU actors playing teenagers are several years older in real life than their characters are. They passed this poster with a QR code, which is also something we saw in many episodes of
What
Moon
is
Knight.
it?
Intentional Easter egg snuck in there by the Marvel Studios team, because when you scan this with your phone, it actually takes you to an issue from the 2014 Miss Marvel run. Actually, this same QR code showed up in episode 1 on the ATM in Bruno's Circle Q store, and last week that code took you to Miss Marvel number 1 from 2014. This week, the QR code takes you to number 15 of the 2014 Ms. Marvel run, the issue when Kamala meets Kamran. Social media star Zoe Zimmer quadrupled her followers, posting about her rescue by Kamala on TikTok, and she brags about it here in the cafeteria.
And then this like beautiful white light like cascaded over me. I felt this wave of calmness, like I knew I was safe.
Okay, I don't want to read in this too much, and you know, we're all probably gonna come around on Zoe. She's actually much nicer than she seems right now, but the one thing we know about that hard light that saved her was that it was not the color white. It had other colors in it. I'm sorry, Zoe, I know you didn't mean to say it, but Zoe does bullshit the name Night Light, similar to in Far From Home when Ned had to
That's immediately what I thought of.
With Night Monkey. The opening titles of this episode toggle through a bunch of interesting designs. First, Miss Marvel as Brass Knuckles. The period on the Ms is the same shape as the Starburst icon on her bangle, then her car dashboard, then the game, and a night sky with a crescent moon evoking the
Captain
Moon Knight
Marvel
title imagery, and then
logo
one in the
too.
style of Saved by the Bell. Kamala makes a fist.
How does it feel?
Like an idea come to life.
Yeah, another clue that Kamala's powers are a form of wish fulfillment, triggered by her inner desires and thoughts. Also, if
that's another similarity to the Green Lantern comparison that they've been trying to avoid, which is based on will and thought.
this is innate to Kamala Khan's DNA, that makes it even more likely she could be an Inhuman as she is in the comics, but rather than exposed to Terrigen Mist herself, she just may be the daughter, granddaughter, and great-granddaughter of Inhumans and activated by a piece of Kree tech. That could be what triggered the Terrigenesis process. The mural by the playground that they train at was actual art created by New Orleans area artist and activist B. Mike Brandon Odoms. And then Kamala gets the idea from watching Bruno play, looks like the game Lucky's Tale, to use her
I don't know, I
light
thought it
as
was
a
Crash
lily pad. Bruno's
Bandicoot.
tablet impressively tracks Kamala's vitals
Guess I was
and
wrong.
is able to deduce from that the power comes from within her, not from the bangle, meaning that the bangle really just unlocked the power that was already in her DNA from her family ancestry. And like we are wondering what that is, Kamala begins to speculate.
So what am I, like Asgardian or something? Dude, am I related to Thor?
Oh, no, I didn't say any of that. Maybe.
While Kamala is probably not an Asgardian like Thor is, she may be something else extraterrestrial in origin, like an Inhuman experiment by the alien race of the Kree. She and Bruno notice some writing on her bangle, Kamala thinking it's either Arabic or maybe Urdu, but from our vantage point, it's not clear if they are talking about the symbols on the green bands or somewhere else on this bangle. But for reference, we do know the alphabets for the Kree and the Skrull languages, and we've also seen the written language of Xandarian in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So Kamala experiments with this lily padding on this hard light. She hangs from the ledge by that Iron Bran poster we saw last episode. This fake out with her and Bruno acting like she was gonna fall off the building just for her to drop a few feet definitely reads like a restaging of Natasha's death in Endgame, with Bruno playing the platonic ideal best friend Clint. I assume an account of this would have been in an episode of Scott Lang's podcast. For Natasha to now be on a memorial poster in Avengers Con, I would hope that Kamala would take a moment of silence. And she eventually gets the hang of it. The shot framed within the bolt of the neon Edison sign.
Okay, I have an idea. I was like, I want to see how they.
Of the hard light.
I want to see how they shot that that sequence with her hopping around everything because it looks so seamless. I imagine there's probably some green screen blocks that she's stepping on that get keyed out with the original one, because I saw some people kind of questioning about that, and I was like, you know, I wonder. I always like seeing breakdowns of that, and like Corridor Crew when they go through different movies and stuff. And just I've been thinking about it more and more here recently, and that sequence where she's practicing hopping on all the pedestals and stuff like that she's creating made me kind of wonder how they shot that, man. Really.
You think about it, that is kind of what a neon sign is. It's light, but it's hard. It's hard. Now, of course, in order to accomplish the stunt of this shot, they had someone on a green screen set and then VFX them onto this roof, which is why that little celebratory yes at the end just looks a little weird. Oh, and this Edison sign, by the way, is a reference
I thought it was
to
just
the
sped up.
Inventor. That was Kamala Khan's first real villain in the 2014 comics, a cockatiel bird possessed with the consciousness of a clone of Thomas Edison. Actually, that cockatiel bird we saw among Kamala Khan's drawings in the opening imagery of episode 1 was also a nod to that guy. It's a little too wacky of a concept probably for this show, but I'm so glad that they pay homage to him this way. Kamala and Nakia are late to mosque services, and we learn how the women's section of this mosque is less maintained. We got some crumbling tiles in the bathroom, mold under the carpet, less security around the women's shoe racks, because poor Nakia gets her shoes stolen. Maybe whoever that Skrull was who stole Nick Fury's shoes on the Skrull space station. Skrulls might have a thing about stealing shoes, and we laugh about that, but I do think Skrulls are gonna show up in the show. At least I hope they will. And my favorite detail of this episode, later when Kamala saves that kid from falling, we get a close-up of the shoes, and what do you know, it was this twerp who stole Nakia's shoes. The women of this mosque have to deal with enough, kid. Onto Zoe's party, which was a pool party because Cameron does a high jump into the pool. Super weird to do, even though this pool is heated, because it is freaking cold outside. They're all wearing coats, they have these heater lamps, and now poor Cameron's gonna be stuck in wet clothes all night. As he leaves this pool, you can see some blue light and blue mist steaming around him, definitely evoking that bioluminescent form from the comics. Actually, later during Kamala's fantasy sequence, she envisions herself in purple neon and Kamran in blue neon, maybe a nod to them both being bioluminescent Inhumans. I like how poor jealous Bruno tries to subvert Kamran's coolness.
You really belly flopped back there, man. That had to hurt.
Don't think so. Didn't really feel a thing.
Nice try, Bruno. Ain't gonna happen. Why? Because
Also, I didn't realize this. I was like, why does Bruno look familiar? And, you know, even Eric hasn't brought it up at all here yet, and somebody had to remind me in the comments. He was Henry in The Walking Dead. What the heck? Why didn't I catch this?
Because Cameron clearly has some oddly inhuman properties to his body. And Kamala flirt by discussing their favorite Bollywood films, referencing SRK. That, of course, is the great Shah Rukh Khan, massive Bollywood movie star. And they also mentioned two of his biggest titles, Bazigar from 1993 and DDLJ from 1995. He gives her his number, but again, as sweet as this seems, it is too good to be true. Kamran has ulterior motives and was clearly assigned by his mother to get close to Kamala. Bruno was right to be suspicious. If things are too good to be true, they often are. But poor Kamala doesn't know that yet because she is smitten. The lens dissolves into the lights, all forming these heart shapes. And then we get this adorable dance number to the romance, Be My Baby. And again, because it's my job to ruin wholesome things. Be My Baby, sung by Ronnie Spector, produced by Phil Spector. Phil Spector was married to her and did horrible, horrible things to her. Look it up. So as sweet as things seem on the surface, there's actually a dark truth behind them. Now, last episode, we saw a similar fantasy sequence from Kamala's perspective of her whole family all dancing in celebration of Kamala, but now notice it is only Kamala dancing as her parents watch on from the kitchen confused. Kamala is joined only by the beautiful vibrant lights now filling the house, because Kamala's core relationship in the series is really a dance between her and her lights. This fantasy turns to neon forms of her and Kamran drifting off into space, joined by two astronaut sloth babies. This transitions to Kamala daydreaming at her desk and her nose suddenly glows. An analogous scenario to getting that surprise zit on your nose in the middle of a school day, naturally leading to Nakia, what a great friend, handing her a tampon. And by the way, I hope this was not the reason why this show was randomly rated TV-14, because you really think kids younger than 14 aren't also going through this kind of thing? Mr. Wilson tells Bruno that he got into early admission at Caltech, but Bruno isn't sure about jumping on this opportunity.
You know that part in the movie where someone comes in to the main character and they say, "You want to be a Jedi?" You want to answer phone?
Oh, it still
said a
gets me.
demanding but impossibly chic magazine editor.
As before, Mr. Wilson
full of
only
movie
knows how to
references.
speak to these kids in movie references, and in this case, Star Wars and The Devil Wears Prada. But despite knowing so much about movies, Wilson is failing to acknowledge that a classic step in every protagonist's journey is the refusal of the call. Luke Skywalker rejects Obi-Wan Kenobi initially and only leaves Tatooine once his aunt and uncle are killed. In Devil Wears Prada, Andy initially walks out of the interview with Miranda Priestley thinking she blew the interview and tries to quit several times before finally deciding to take the job seriously. So Bruno is at the refusal of the call stage. Let Bruno have his beats. So after school, Kamran waits for her by his sweet ride, and notice how the sun glares off the hood, blinding her with the light again. Last episode, all these lens flares, blinding lights representing Kamala being distracted. And I love the blocking here. Bruno blocks that light, gives her a relieving shade, trying to keep her away from this bad boy and shielding her from the
that's
blinding
so
lights.
good.
Also, you'll notice how Bruno wears a blue shirt and a red vest, which is a nod to the comics when Kamala had a kid who sat behind her in class dressed up as Marty McFly who doodled Teen Wolf in his notebook. Kamran and Kamala chat some more about Bollywood stars.
Mine's the same.
See, I wasn't wrong to think he was cosplaying as Marty McFly. He just dresses that way naturally.
still has a huge crush on Kingo Sr.
Ew.
Concerning.
Very.
They're referring to the movies of Kingo, Kumail Nanjiani's character in Eternals, a
Yep.
Bollywood star who would reinvent himself as a younger generation era after era. Kamran goes on to say,
Yeah, I mean, it must be a generational thing, because I don't really understand half the things my mom's into.
a very important line when you consider the context that Kamran may be a generational inhuman as well, their ancestors having an extraterrestrial link. Maybe Najma was into Kingo knowing he's an ageless Eternal, not originally from Earth. Pretending she is much younger than she really is something that she also does. Amir catches them.
This is Kamran.
I love this whole
He's
scene.
our cousin.
Our cousin?
The ending of this episode does imply that they may actually be related. Hopefully he's adopted, because otherwise, why are you hitting on her like that? At dinner, Yusuf says,
That's why we moved to America, right? So that our children could be anything that they wanted to be.
Almost anything.
yes, this is a common hope of all immigrants, but might have a deeper context if Maniba doesn't want.
Hey, we really going to skip over the hot topic? That was a huge part of my childhood. And adult years.
Kamala to be a cosmically powered inhuman. Yusuf goes on to say,
Muniba's family moved to Karachi only after the partition. Back then, there was no Pakistan or Bangladesh. It was all one big country, India. After the British
The British left us with a mess.
So the partition refers to when Great Britain parted ways with British India in 1947 and the subcontinent divided into India and Pakistan, separating the military, the civil service, railways, treasury, millions of people along religious lines, Muslims to Pakistan, Hindus to India, displacing 10 to 20 million people, causing horrible ethnic violence, resulting in deaths estimated from several 100,000 people to 2 million people. It was a horrible dark time, one of the worst refugee crises we've seen in human history. Yusuf explains how Muniba's mother was caught up in all that, a toddler on the last train out of a station, and got separated from her parents.
Nobody knows how a little toddler, Sana, managed to get back on the train just
before the train pulled out of the station.
I like how Amir completes this part of the story, but then Yusuf turns to Kamala to finish the second part of the story about how the toddler made it back to her father.
She followed a trail of stars.
Right back to her father.
And I like how there's some subtle musical chimes here, like it was some cosmic magic at play in this history. A trail of stars, referring to cosmic intervention, Kree tech, Inhumans, that Sana and her mother Aisha used to survive.
Now, let's
Maybe
not
even
get
a Kree
too head in the
starship
clouds
transporting
just
her back
yet.
to her father. Trail of stars also sounds like something America Chavez might have helped out with, using a path of star portals to teleport Sana back to her father. Now, this would have been almost 80 years prior. I'm not really sure how aging works in other dimensions like the Utopian Parallel, but it's just worth bringing up. Trail of stars, you know. But when Yusuf mentions that Muniba's mother disappeared, the bangle glows, a white portal opens, and Kamala's eyes glow purple as they did last episode when she was transported to the other realm. In this case, a woman appears with a purple tinted face, and this is Nimra Bucha's character, credited as Najma. I'm thinking also Kamala's great grandmother Aisha, that Kamala's Nani, Aisha's daughter, said previously owned this bangle, and the purple color on her face could make her one of those purple entities from Kamala's vision. I believe all of them representing Aisha's other inhuman family and Kamala's broader ancestry network. But listen closely to the sound effects here. You can hear a train whistle. There is
I didn't
also
notice
the
that.
sound of a train under Najma in the back seat in the final shot. Both of these train sounds could be a nod to Aisha getting separated from Sana and Sana's father at that train station, and Aisha later helping Sana find him using that trail of stars. Now later in this episode, the Illuminati.
All right, well, they are related.
My father called her a snake. She put a curse on everything she touched. I heard that she had a secret affair and took off with someone. I heard she had many affairs and she had a secret family.
I heard she killed a man. Happened during partition.
Yes, just some hot goss, of course, but it might be rooted in truth, just from a different point of view. Like Aisha may have had another family of Inhumans. She might have killed someone in self-defense, and her powers back then probably were viewed as a curse or some kind of superstition. I just love how this series grounds Kamala's family history in the partition between India and Pakistan. Real world history when many lives were lost, many families were separated, and many at that point in history were ostracized as others. Something that could apply doubly to Aisha as an Inhuman in the 40s that would stir up these rumors and superstitions about her in that community, leading to her just getting separated during the partition and letting her family go so that they could have a normal life. Yet still, an Inhuman gene would have been left in the women of this family, a legacy that Muniba fears is a curse, feeling shame over it, but now Kamala has it and it has been activated. They attend the Eid festival at their mosque, or Eid al-Adha. Kamala jokes with Nakia and Bruno about the Illuminatis.
The Illuminatis, actually, they know everything.
We later meet them and Nakia's breakdown of the different groups of this community, which is just pretty interesting timing for Multiverse of Madness to introduce us to the 838 Illuminati. I would love it if this is the Illuminati of the 616 universe, and here in the animated title, the A is the all-seeing eye of the Illuminati conspiracy theory. We also meet the Mosque Bros, which actually includes a cameo by Bilal Fallah, the co-director of episode 1 and episode 6.
Cool.
And the Pious Boys have the same hands together image as Kamala's Bismillah drawing in episode 1, but notice how the hands separate to reflect that gap that Nakia refers to. And then the InstaClick has Instagram labels like Tag, Blessed, Dean being a term in Islam for staying devout under Allah. Then DODC agent Cleary interrogates Zoe.
You're not the Zoe Zimmer.
The only one I know.
What? You have got to be kidding me. I'm a big fan.
Wait, really?
Yes.
I love this dude's tactic, dude. I really do.
Flattery is everything to youth suspects, similar to how he's able to get Ned to confess his role in No Way Home. But of course, his tone shifts.
And then the enhanced individual tried to kill you.
Aha, enhanced. That was the code term that the MCU used in place of mutants back in Age of Ultron. In this case, it seems to be a catch-all term for any rogue, superpowered person. Mutant, Inhuman, Super Soldier, Hulk, anyone beneath the tier of Sam Wilson's Big Three.
What Big Three? Androids, aliens, and wizards.
And then Agent Deaver joins interrogation and
Did she have an accent of any kind? Was she Latina? I'm sorry, I'm supposed to say Latinx now.
No, the camera's going out of
Middle
focus.
Eastern? South Asian?
Yeah, Clear's expression suggests he objects to this kind of racial profiling, but then he says,
let's do the tri-state sweep. Search every temple, community center, and mosque. Just be respectful. The FBI is already surveilling, let me know that.
They do leave Arian Moayed off screen, but you can hear in his delivery a bit of hesitation right before he says mosque. And then they include the mention of the FBI because yeah, since 9/11, the FBI has been monitoring mosques and Muslim community centers all over the country, a shift from the Bureau's focus on domestic terrorism in the 90s after the Oklahoma City bombings. And wouldn't you know it, that white nationalism didn't go anywhere. At the festival, a kid hangs from the tower, so Kamala has to suit up and cosplay to save him. I love how she tries to calm him down.
What do you have a favorite food? Ice cream pizza.
Did someone say ice cream pizza?
I love how Najaf the vendor just got an idea for a new food to sell. This guy better be selling ice cream pizza next episode. Kamala lily pads over to him and tries to catch him, but when the hard light gives out, she has to form another landing pad, saving the day, we think, hopping off, forming another pose, just like her fantasy self did in episode 1, copying Black Widow. We see a frenzy of social media posts about this rescue, also commenting on the hilarious combination of pizza and ice cream. I love all these memes, but they include
I didn't notice all of them. They went by so fast.
And we will see Frogman and She-Hulk. Eugene Patillo as that goofball in the spring-loaded frog suit that he got from his father. This angle of this photo of Kamala falling is from above with the hard light below her. So Frogman must have been leaping over them to get this photo of this moment, doing nothing to save them.
I don't think that perspective is right.
These are actually in real
there,
life or just Kamala's imagination.
It's all right.
How she thinks everyone will love her because of this. Probably the latter. But Kamala's concentration is broken when her great-grandmother appears to her. So the hard light flickers out and the kid falls again. Kamala's embiggened hand fails to catch him. So she has to slow his fall with just more hard platforms.
Splat, 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 splat. Oh my gosh, man.
Oh,
Kind of rough.
You already know it's your ankle. Kid's trying to get Kamala a yellow
He's holding his knee.
This is a drone that looks like a dark painted customized Stark drone from Spider-Man Far From Home and No Way Home. Also cameoed in Multiverse of Madness. Remember that? That was weird. Now remember, the DODC and other agencies confiscated these drones so they would be in possession of them, but they don't necessarily have full control over Tony's Edith software, which might be why the drone's inner interface looks different than it did in Far From Home. Deaver shows
probably
up
had to
when DODC
reprogram
agents
it themselves.
armed with these handheld sonic cannons. This should look familiar to you. This is more Stark tech, first seen in the 2008 Hulk film. It was a Stark Industries design when they used it on the Virginia campus, but Tony also added these to War Machine's armor in Civil War when he used it on Wanda Maximoff. These were also on the Stark drones in Far From Home, blowing Peter off of Tower Bridge, and we see
I
these
love
same
that
guns
shit,
in
man.
the She-Hulk trailer,
Yeah.
suggesting it is the DODC there in that show. Also, a crazy detail in episode 1, if you're looking closely, looks like there is a photo of Jamila Jamil on the DODC's wanted posters in that post-credit scene. Jamil is playing the supervillain Titania in She-Hulk. So since we see these guns in the She-Hulk trailer, that might mean the DODC is the same agency that Jennifer Walters is dealing with in that series. And if Matt Murdock dealt with the DODC in No Way Home, it's just one more way Daredevil could cross over into She-Hulk. It's all connected. Kamala wrecks these drones just as effectively as Peter Parker did, but the sonic cannon
I
obliterates her
wouldn't
hard
make
light,
that
making it look so
comparison just
brittle.
yet.
And I think this hard light is actually meant to look wrinkled and creased to deliberately evoke paper mache, as if this is glowing paper mache, as Kamala's powers were activated while she was wearing paper mache Captain Marvel cosplay.
Well, also, like, gemstones in general, they are most prone to shattering because of the creases in their crystalline structures. I mean, that's the vibe it gives off to me. Paper mache could work, but I mean, none of her suits paper mache, so have we even seen any paper mache in this show so far? So I feel like, I don't know, it might be a little bit of a stretch. Am I nitpicking the wrong thing right now? Maybe. Moving on.
As I explained in my video where I interviewed the directors, this form of Kamala's powers is intended to be a temporary look that Kamala will evolve past. And I think this hard light is really pieces of her Terrigen cocoon that she's gradually shedding off until she reaches her final form. Cameron's timing is amazing as he swoops in to pick her up.
A little weird.
And the backseat is a ghost.
Kamala, I've been waiting a very long time to meet you.
It's all connected. Because if Naja, aka the woman from the visions, is Kamala's great-grandmother Aisha, and if she's also Cameron's mother, that would make Cameron Kamala's grandmother's brother, or half-brother if he was born to a different father, but still, Cameron might be Kamala's grand-uncle. Thor, hook up Kamala with an escape here.
He's adopted.
Of course, it is very odd that Najma is still relatively young. If she's her great-grandmother from the 40s, she should be older, right? Well, Najma may instead just be a sister or cousin to Muniba, who just looks a lot like their great-grandmother.
Or it's a
vision
vision.
that Muniba left behind in Pakistan, who in that case would make Kamran
A warning.
Kamala's cousin. But no, I don't think so. Najma looks exactly the same to these visions, and in those visions, she wore older clothes, had an older hairstyle, so I think Najma is the same person as Aisha, and the agelessness is because she is an Inhuman, the curse that the Illuminantes were talking about. Najma and Kamran might be Inhumans. Inhumans are known to live 2 to 3 times longer than humans are, age more slowly. Now, I know you might say Eternals don't age at all, and Kamran did mention Najma liked Kingo movies. I just doubt that these characters would be ID'd as Eternals as well. There were only 10 Eternals on the planet. They were synthetic aliens. They don't really reproduce or anything. I really just think Najma liked Kingo because she identified another ageless figure hiding in public. Of course, another possibility to consider is that Najma might just be a Skrull taking on the identity of Aisha's appearance. The rumors that she was the Snake could come from Aisha having a Skrull partner that she would trade places with, the way Fury and Talos have a partnership. Since in the comics, Kamran actually serves a villain called Lineage, Najma here might be this show's version of that character. It just remains to be seen whether she is truly villainous or someone who's actually trying to help her. But also we should point out, Carol Danvers' cosmic power up and ensuing Kree transfusions left her in a state in which she didn't really age from 1995 to 2023. So all of this might just be a symptom of Kree tech and cosmic radiation. And I just think it's so ironic that Kamala began this episode joking about how, like Ant-Man, she looks younger than she really is. And now that seems to be a genetic
intentional
trait that she
then.
inherited. That is everything I spotted in episode 2 of
Damn,
Ms. Marvel.
man.
Check me out on Instagram
These
and Twitter
episodes are so dense.
@AFossil
I mean, it would be really helpful if I knew the source material. So I like these little nuggets. I'm just still a little too cautious to be jumping up the Skrull train, up the Inhuman train, or any of that other stuff like the Kree stuff or whatever. I don't want to get too far ahead. I'm not too concerned about where it's going. I'm just here for the journey and the ride. I would like for some of those things to pan out and make those connections, but that's interesting. But I'll wait for it to happen, man. There's a lot of theorizing going on, and I appreciate it. I do. But I liked all the Easter eggs in this thing, man, and all the like thematic, storytelling just done purely through blocking, framing of the camera, and the lighting. There are some great little details in there throughout, as well as these little interspersed like comments from the directors and stuff like that gives us a little bit of context and stuff. And then just like these little lines that I didn't think about at all until we got back into it and he started kind of analyzing more what they mean as far as how they relate to Cameron and Najma and all that. Because just in the moment, I couldn't exactly tell. I thought they looked the same, but I wasn't 100% confident it was the same person in those flashes she was seeing. So yeah, that does make the whole conversation at the diner with Cameron a little more weird if they are in fact related. Because I was just like, nah, that was just a joke because, she was trying to dissuade her brother from being suspicious about the intentions happening here at the table, about her being with this boy. So, well, jokes on everybody here might turn out to actually be the case, I guess. Oh, wow. Interesting. Really curious how this is going to pan out, man. But I like that. If this is temporary, if this is her temporary powers, I wonder if she is going to have the more traditional elongation of her body kind of thing. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see what that looks like in here with some more modern technology kind of thrown into the mix. But, yeah, man. Great breakdown, as always. Are there any details that you guys caught that maybe got missed out in this video? If so, sound off the comments. Let me know your thoughts down below. We'll carry on the conversation after the video. Feel free to join us in our Discord. We can talk about it there as well. Links to that and all my socials are down below. Follow me in each and every one of those. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to the channel. Follow EA Voss. And guys, before we go, I want to shout out our channel legends. Mandy Sherritt, Ryan Karen, Jason Coleman, Philly Vane, Yori Corey Scott, Margaret Grace, Mary Bradley, Melita, Robert Anguiano, and Cal Kestis Nation. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. But that's it for this video, guys. I'll see you all next week with the next breakdown. Take care, everybody.